It's been what an experience. It's terrible.
It seems like when something like this happens, it kind of brings it all home as to what our priorities are, doesn't it?
Amen. Absolutely. It's as much has been written about our World Series here, when something goes like this and lives are threatened, priorities are snapped back and right into place.
I was in the clubhouse preparing for introductions. I was just putting on my uniform, getting my jacket on, and all of a sudden everything in the room started moving, swaying side to side, and immediately I thought to get out in the open area.
The earthquake knocked out all power at Candlestick, and there were reports of structural damage. There's a lot to assess before baseball officials will think about playing Game 3.
It's really a very, very small matter when you look at the overall thing. Baseball is not that big. Where the important part is to make sure that there's safety here.
The last man you heard there was National League President Bill White, who pretty much echoed the sentiments of everyone there that baseball is a pretty minimal concern at a time like this. But he did say that what the Major League Baseball is planning on doing right now is playing Game 3 of the World Series tomorrow, and then they'll continue Game 4 on Thursday, Game 5 on Friday. So they are planning on going on to continue, but again, pretty much expressed the sentiments of everyone there that everything to do with sports and baseball becomes pretty minimal at a time like this. And White also stressed the fact that he thought he wanted to congratulate the people at Candlestick Park for not panicking and not heading for the exits and trying to run out of there and creating a worse scene than the potential was there for. When you think of the number of people that were there in that ballpark, filled up, waiting for that World Series game to start, and that entire stadium starts pitching and swaying, and people pretty much kept their heads, maybe because they're used to earthquakes in California. It was, a lot of the East Coast riders were out
the trained. No, we're trained at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what we have right now is an interview with Mayor Agnos, who, of course, is at the Fire Command Center on Turk and Fillmore in San Francisco.
The most serious problem we can see from the air is a tremendous traffic jam, mainly in those areas trying to leave the city. And we're urging people to stay home, not get in their cars, or get home through back streets if they're trying to go through to their homes in San Francisco. The chief and I were just discussing we need to try and get some extra help along 19th Avenue, the area out by the marina. That fire seems to be under control now, and what we need to do is get the traffic that obviously is trying to get out of the city through the few outlets we have, that is the Golden Gate Bridge and down the peninsula, moving smoothly. Right now it seems to be heavy traffic.
Did you get a chance to look at the Bay Bridge, Mayor?
Yeah, we went by the Bay Bridge. It's a little bit dark there, but it clearly is badly damaged with the upper deck sort of dropped down into the lower deck. There's no traffic moving there.
Are you asking for any kind of military help?
Yes, we did. We asked for the Army Presidio to give us their extra military police personnel and any other security kind of personnel they could have that could team up with our police officers. That is, one military person to go with one police officer to spread out our trained police officers to do traffic duty, as well as patrolling the streets to make sure there is no disorder. We have no reports of any disorder at this time. Everybody is being good citizens, which is something we would expect to San Francisco.
We have reports of looting on 3rd Street, Mayor Agnos, and a man was just mugged right down the street here by 2 roaming toughs. That sort of contradicts the report that you just gave us.
Well, that's not any kind of wide-scale manifestation of any looting or anything like that, but we'll get on it, and we're asking all citizens to behave in the way that we would want all citizens to behave at this time, to be calm, to cooperate, and to take care of one another.
Are you going to ask for any help from the governor?
Well, I'm going to go back inside and reassess what reports we've gotten, and we'll ask for whatever help is necessary. But right now, things are in good shape, to our knowledge.
The fire in the marina is all right?
The fire in the marina is under control. It's dying down right now. The biggest problem I could see from the air, as I said, is tremendous traffic problems. We're urging people to get home if they live in San Francisco, and if they're in a car right now trying to get out of the city, to be calm, because obviously there are a lot of traffic.
What about power and water?
Power and the water lines are in good shape. The Department of Public Works, Richard Evans, has reported to me that the water lines are working, the sewer lines are working. However, the electricity is not up yet in most parts of the city, and we're working on that as fast as we know how.
What about injuries, fatalities?
I'll have to get an update when I go back into the building, but when I left 30 minutes ago, the reports were that there were no fatalities that we knew of, but of course, we don't know what the final report is from the fire.
The city's state of preparedness, have you been able to assess it so far?
No, all I know is that all of the vital personnel, the police chief, the director of public health, the fire chief, the superintendent of public instruction, the superintendent of schools, all of the vital people, Department of Public Works, 2 supervisors reported here. We got here, things are under control, and I'm asking all San Franciscans to rise to the occasion by cooperating, taking care of one another, checking on their neighbors, because City Hall is on top of this and we're in good shape.
Have you had contact with others?
Dave McElhatton, we're back together.
Yes, we get together again.
Yeah.
How much trouble did you have getting in from Candlestick Park?
Awful.
Now,
It was just awful.
when I left to take a break and check on my family, Lauren was saying that a sinkhole was developing northbound, north of Candlestick on 101.
And that is closed part of the highway there on 101. We've got a number of closures, of course, around the Bay.
So how were you able to get here?
Well, we went on little side streets. But as we've been saying, it is the strangest thing because, first of all, it is an absolute gridlock, particularly on the big arterials.
Sure. Can you imagine? El Camino is going to be nonstop, or mostly stopped.
Craziness. And then it's pitch black. So it's this strange combination of dark eeriness and then this sort of hysteria when there are people.
That's right. All the things that people have been warning us about for some time now.
Yeah, I wanted to just comment on a couple of things there that the mayor was talking about. This 1 square block, of course, the fire in the marina, which is finally out, which is great news. And
if you, excuse me, if you didn't see the pictures, we'll have them again for you in just a moment, showing you it looks like a square block engulfed in flames and another building tipped on its side. And they started pulling water out of the bay to put that fire out because the water lines were
down.
Yeah,
and I had also heard that they were able to bring a fire boat up, and they were actually had a human, what do you call that, Mac? You know, when they have,
chain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The
thing they used to do in the Sierra in the days of 49.
You see the pictures of the flames.
Yeah, water brigade, I think is what they call it. Yeah, this is a shot from behind that building. It doesn't show you the enormity of that fire, but you can see how close it is to St. Francis Yacht Club and the Marina Green. So they were able to pull those lines, I guess, over. I had thought maybe they could get the Forest Service helicopters to help them, but apparently they were able to work it out.
The mayor is saying that the water lines are working, the sewer lines are working, and so that's all very good news here in the city of San Francisco. Now, it's interesting, and it's a comment, it'll tell you something about the communication system right now. The mayor was saying that there were no fatalities he'd heard of. Now, I'm not sure if he's referring to the marina fire, but of course, the fatalities that we are now hearing about through the lieutenant governor's office, the tallies are 53 people dead.
But not just in San Francisco, totally in the Bay Area.
45 of them in Oakland from the collapse of 880 Cypress, 6 people in San Francisco, 2 people that we know of on the Bay Bridge. So that's the situation with fatalities so far as we know it. We're hearing about scattered power outages throughout the Bay Area, and also some reports throughout the Bay Area of buildings collapsing or parts of buildings.
Yeah, did you see that footage earlier near the fire in the marina? There's a big apartment house, it looks like. It's tilted on its side, very dramatically tilted. The left side, from our view, had collapsed.
One of the reports that I heard when we were driving in on the radio was that an apartment building had collapsed. But again, all of these details are very sketchy and coming into us often second-hand and third-hand at this point. So
that's right, and we'll be continuing to reevaluate and update the situation as we get a clearer handle on what's been happening. Let's see. Hank Plant is in the marina. He was at the scene of the fire and presumably still is. Hank, they say the fire is now under control. How do you see it?
It is under control, Mac. I just came back from the scene, and we can show you some tape if we can get it up on the air. The fire department has done a pretty good job. The hard part, of course, was getting water to the fire. They had to pump salt water out of the bay to douse it. They've got it under control. That fire was at Divisadero and Jefferson, and there was a problem with some gas leaks around it. None of this is any solace to the people who live in the area, including Wayne Walker. You're about a half a block away, right?
Well, that's right, Hank. That was my major concern after Wendy and I. And by the way, I'm really glad to see Wendy and Joe and everybody from the stadium make it okay to the station. We've been on the air for about an hour after the quake hit the stadium, and 8 was on the air and showing footage of the fire here in the marina, and I looked down and I saw that it was a half a block away from where I live, and I said, I've got to go home.
Your house is all right?
Yeah, it's okay. It's still up and it's okay, and I'll tell you what, it's incredible down here. I just can't believe some of the buildings that are down. It seems that most of the destruction is done on buildings that are on the corners of the buildings, and someone told me who lived down here for a long time, that's because that when the buildings shake, the houses that are in the middle of the block kind of hold each other up, but the ones on the corners and collapse, and as you walk down through the streets here in the marina, you see apartment houses that are almost flat.
Now, you also...
Interesting point.
Indeed. Dick Cable here with Jennifer Smith at the KXTV studios. We've been watching KPIX coverage in progress. The quake was felt strongly here in Sacramento, but we understand there's been absolutely no damage or injuries, and that local emergency crews did not have to make a single response call because of the quake here.
And we're going to be going to a special report with CBS at 8:30 in about a minute and a half from now. So let's just point out a couple of other things that haven't been mentioned yet concerning the earthquake. The tracking station in California may be damaged, so NASA is contemplating delaying the shuttle launch. It was delayed this morning, but now because of this problem with the tracking station, it may be delayed by that.
It's a consideration in the launching of the Atlantis now, so we may not only scrub the shuttle, but the World Series is on hold as well, as you know also. And this, the head of the U.S. Geological Survey reminds us that this quake is a good warning, but it is not the big quake yet either. They're estimating it was 7 on the Richter scale, and many of us here in Sacramento and many people throughout the North State and all the way to Reno felt the quake quite strongly tonight.
And there have been many aftershocks after the major quake, but according to the seismology station machine located on the Sierra College campus, the last aftershock was reported about 40 minutes ago, and they are progressively getting weaker, and so the aftershocks may now be falling off.
Let me mention, too, that a friend of ours, Sandy Hanks, called in. She's got a daughter at UC Santa Cruz, and managed to get through to her on the phone, and has reported to us that in Santa Cruz, everybody has evacuated the college, are going to sleep out in the East Field tonight, and they understand that Highway 1 is closed at an overpass in Watsonville. It is collapsed.
Now to CBS.
CBS.
San Francisco, 5:04 p.m. Pacific time this evening. The earthquake hits and jolts. A section of the San Francisco Bay Bridge to Oakland collapses.
This is a CBS News special report. From CBS News headquarters in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Good evening. The story is still unfolding at this hour of a major earthquake that rumbled through the San Francisco Bay Area and beyond. Much remains unknown and unconfirmed. Here is some of what we do know. At least 40 confirmed dead in the collapse of a section of Highway 880 in Oakland, California. Other reports indicate 6 persons were killed in San Francisco from debris from a falling building, debris falling on a car. One other San Francisco fatality reported in the collapsing section of the San Francisco Bay Bridge to Oakland. Possibly 6 others dead at a Santa Cruz shopping mall near the actual epicenter of the quake. The epicenter was located south of San Francisco along the San Andreas Fault, about 8 miles north of Santa Cruz, California. Keep in mind much of what we do not know and see is coming to us from the San Francisco area. When I say what we do not know, we're doing our best to find out what's going on. There are at least 53 persons believed to be dead. The extent of injuries, very hard to tell at this hour. Destruction is said to be widespread, but to give you some perspective and context, the highest building known to have collapsed was 4 stories. There's still much unknown in areas south of San Francisco. This is an area along Highway 101, which various sections of this highway collapse. Now, whether there be any deaths on Highway 101, we simply do not know. Do not confuse this, Highway 101, these pictures, with Highway 880 in the Oakland area where at least 40 persons were killed. This is the largest fire so far. There have not been any widespread reports of flames. This is in the marina area of San Francisco. Firemen had extreme difficulty bringing this under control. On the phone is Frank Thorberg of the Pacific Gas and Electric. Mr. Thorberg, as we watch these scenes of the fire in San Francisco, the largest one we know of, having said there aren't many, what is it that you can tell us about the extent of outages in the San Francisco Bay Area?
Well, we have reports of between 500,000 and 1 million customers out of service on a corridor south from San Francisco to the Hollister area and points south. We've got